Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Phil Risher, and on today's episode, we're diving into how to build a business that sets you free instead of trapping you with Ryan Tansom. Thanks so much for joining us today, Ryan.
What's up, Phil?
What's up? Man, this is one that is going to hit people square in the head because everyone feels like they're trapped, I feel like. So I'm really excited to talk with you. Quick bio. Ryan is the founder of Independence by Design and a business ownership strategist who helps owner-operators create freedom through their business rather than becoming trapped by them. After turning around his family's $21 million business and selling it for 8 figures in 2014, only to face unexpected challenges including 50% plus taxes, team losses, he developed a framework to help entrepreneurs build sustainable cash flow and equity value while maintaining personal independence. He hosts the Independence by Design podcast with over 400 episodes and has guided over 1,500 business owners through his proven methodology for creating owner-optional companies. All of those things, everyone's ears perking up like, okay, what do
What
I
does
need to
that
do?
mean? What is it? What has Ryan got to say?
Yeah. So I guess if you could take us back to your family's business, like what was it? What it was not doing too hot. Then you came in, and what was that like?
Yeah, I'll maybe I'll start with we ended, as you alluded to, we sold the business. I got a lot of wish I would have, and that's where all this is based off of. So it's not me coming up with some random framework that is pie in the sky. My father started our business in the early '90s. We sold copiers, man. So
Oh,
mortgaged our house, bought a couple hundred grand worth of copiers, and over the course of the next 10 years, scaled up to 21 million. 115 employees. I worked in and out of the business most of my life and swore on my grave I'd never go work for him. A lot of family businesses, you know how that story unfolds. Well, I joined in 2009 and he had been very distant from the company and a lot of cash flow in the business. He was going through a bunch of personal stuff and we lost almost 950,000 bucks in 2009. And so I spent the next 5 years turning it all around. So new ERP system, fired 50 people by the time I was 27 or 25, and then built out the managed IT and the software automation, rebranded, new comp plans, sold a couple branches for cash, juggling $250,000 payroll every other week, fighting with the bank the whole time. Finally got to the point where it was a nice 7-figure EBITDA business and we couldn't get alignment on what we both wanted and how the business operations lined up with our goals of time, cash flow, and wealth. That lack of alignment just, I mean, my dad's my best friend. I love the guy. But still we have this, machine that we had to get alignment on. We couldn't, even though we joined peer groups and joined, EOS,
yeah.
you name all the crap that we started, ended up selling the business so that way we could get unstuck. And that was not the actual solution that we would have thought. Yes, we got an 8-figure bank wire and I got a good chunk of money at the age of 27. Fired 60 people out of the 90 at the time, paid a lot in taxes, and I've spent 11 years trying to figure out what I would have done differently. And the playbook is is the end result of the decade-long journey.
Yeah. So I guess going through that experience, then getting the payday, but then taxes and all the other stuff that goes along with it is now the premise that it's better to build a company through what you did, but instead of selling, having it, you know, owner optional kind of thing.
Having options, man. And like the way I like to think about it, Phil, is we're most owners that are owner operators. The owner operator hyphen is very important because I'm not working with VC firms or PE
Mm,
backed companies because they have the injection of the thought process of this is an asset from day one, the moment they take professional money because they have to give it back.
yeah.
And my dad and I were like, I mean, thousands of people have been through my material, and a lot of people, like my father and I, solve for revenue, gross profit, net income, how much money
Yeah.
will come from our K1. And it's just this big, huge mess. And I call it the owner operator trap, where
Mm,
we're making gut based decisions. We've got unpredictable cash flow and we're stuck in our job.
mm,
And so we're not making decisions from the base layer of the matrix. I think
mm,
about it like we actually have a job that we get paid a W-2 income from, and the goal is that we're understanding what is the trade-offs over reinvesting back into the company for evaluation, or are we taking more cash out for, lifestyle or reinvesting outside the company? That's the constraint, man. And most
mm,
people don't put those goals in. So they're just making shit up every single day, hoping that
yeah.
they have more independence. And like, that's really the whole point of the name is I just do this because I want to do whatever I want every day.
Yes.
And that's what my dad did. He barely graduated high school. I got a D in accounting. Now I teach finance. And like
Yeah.
the whole thing is, what is your goal out of time, cash flow, and wealth as an individual? How does your business fit inside of it? Because those constraints will drive whether you should reinvest, whether you should take on capital, whether you should take money out of the business. But to not have that base layer of thinking and a framework to make decisions, we're literally guessing.
Yes.
So I want to eliminate that guess. So I'll never tell anybody what to do. I don't
Yeah.
care whether you keep your company, sell your company, whether you sell some of it, all of it, take the money out, put it all back in. Just know what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. So the time, cash flow, and wealth, that's kind of the baseline. What are some of the questions that people would ask themselves or you would ask them to figure out what matters most to them?
What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
What's the point? Like,
Yeah.
what are you trying to accomplish? And the independence is this, like, the root of, like, I just want to be free. What
Yes.
the hell does that mean for you? Is it to, like, do whatever you want every day and not have anybody tell you what to do? How much money do you need for that?
Mm,
Are you going to be able to retire, and when? Like,
yeah.
I mean, just like thinking about it is just like the first step instead of hoping. And
Yeah.
what I've learned is that once you start asking those questions and then really getting serious about it, most people do not have a base understanding of how do actual valuations work. Because,
Mm,
like, the fact that we're waking up and just grinding and making shit up and putting stuff back, reinvesting back in the company, having no idea whether that's going to provide a return of time, cash flow, or wealth is insane. And the reason I have those three, I call it the independence escape velocity, where you can get out of your operations and you can run your company from the boardroom. So the owner's playbook is about extracting yourself from the operations to run your company from the boardroom, because that's where real optionality happens, where you can be a capital allocator instead of just having a job. I don't know anybody that wants more L10 meetings, and the L10 is like, a management meeting. It's
EOS.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to do whatever I want. Like, I cut
Yeah.
my grass this morning at 10 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, can you do that? And most
Yeah.
people can't. And
Yeah.
so, what's the trade offs of all of this stuff? And we have to take the ownership red pill, as I call it, which is understand valuations, understand the decision levers that you have. And I love, you know who Andrew Huberman is?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I love the guy. Like, I've changed seriously dysfunctional habits in my personal life because of him. And he's got this phrase, because he's like the bearer of bad news. Like,
Yeah.
by the way, drinking's bad for you. It's like,
Yeah.
well, no shit. But he's got this phrase, Phil, of, I'm not going to tell you what to do, just know what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just resonates with me so much, because I don't care what you do, just know what you're doing.
Yeah. It's so true. So a lot of people that listen to this, they're going to be like $1 million to $10 million home service businesses,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a couple traps inside of there. I would say the biggest one is like 1 to 3 million. You got to kind of build out your operational team or something so that you're not doing also. And I'm just saying this, but I want to get your thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then like 3 to 5 million is like you're kind of in the sales or the big ticket sales, so you got to get out of that. And then like 5 to 10 is like you got to put some compensation in place to help your leadership team scale you. What would you say with those types of businesses? Like, how would you coach them or educate them to get through this? Because like, obviously, time, cash flow, and wealth. But like, if you don't have the people or the system, it's
Mm-hmm.
probably harder to figure that out.
Yeah, I'll break it down. So in my framework and the owner's playbook, there are three phases. There's the plan phase, the build phase, and then the elevate phase. All of these use the constraints of time, cash flow, and wealth.
Okay.
Like, we have to acknowledge that we have a constraint. So if we think about the time, cash flow, and wealth is like the outline of the puzzle, like, I mean, Elon Musk, like, physics has actual rules.
Yeah.
Same thing with us. So
Yeah.
within that constraint, then there's 9 modules, so there's three in each phase, and so all the things that you talked about, line up in the
Yeah.
different phase. But the purpose of this is based on your goals. Where should you put your time and money? Right.
Mm.
So each one of those, there's step up phases in each one of those things that you talked about. And I'll talk about the consequences of those, because with a couple of the other businesses that I've had over the last 10 years, I can get very nuanced of like, what are the challenges and
Yeah.
like specific operational mechanical ones. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a choice of, do I reinvest to build up more, hire more people? What does
Yeah.
that take? Cash flow.
Cash flow.
The only reason you do that is for wealth. Right. And so, like, we go, okay, well, why do I do this? What's the goal? What's driving all of this? Because every one of those things that you just talked about, I mean, I'll zoom out and just give you my 50,000 foot view of those step ups that you're talking about. Every one of those is a reinvestment step up.
Mm.
So like, okay, let's say you're at $1 million. Yeah, you're hopefully making 100 grand.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like hopefully you're still eating shit. You're still also like, doing the plumbing, or you're doing the HVAC, or you're doing the sprinkler blowouts, or you're doing the roofing. Okay, well, I want to hire more people. Well, then you're getting to this point where you're constantly fighting against your own time and your own cash flow. And then you get up to the next step up, and it's like the whole E-Myth, right? Where like now it's like, okay, now you need some accounting and some HR, and it's like, which is more money. And
Mm.
then you get up to then like the 10 million. I'll tell you what, because I work with a lot of the people from 5 to 100 million,
Yeah.
usually more from like the, call it 10 to 50. There's still cash flow constraints, man. Like I still work with people where they're still the CEO, they're still eating shit. They got working capital, which is your payables, receivables, inventory. You got people, you got taxes, and it's like after all the 10 million bucks, I can walk through like you're maybe making 400 or 500 grand.
Yeah.
What's the company worth? And so like the trade off is stay in one of those phases and
Mm.
make your 200, 250, but then save outside the business because you still got to retire. Or
Exactly.
you say, I'm going to stop making 250 grand, maybe tap my line of credit, take on a loan, which is debt. And then, to
Yeah.
hopefully maintain some of that cash flow to get you to the next step up, which
Mm.
hopefully you'll produce more cash flow. So the whole thing is like, when will I have more cash flow? And at the end of like the escape velocity of that time, cash flow, and wealth of the playbook is that you have completely decoupled your time
That's
from the
amazing.
free cash flow of the company. So I have like lots of clients, Phil, where they actually end up finally hiring a CEO, call it for 250, 300 grand, put
Yeah.
in a CEO comp plan, and they're literally running their company from the boardroom of like, what do we do with our cash? Do we reinvest? Do we
Mm.
take it back out? Do I put it in stocks, bonds, Bitcoin, whatever the hell it is? Like, and you have this capital allocation framework, but you've gotten to the point where you don't have to work every day.
Yes.
But it's okay if you want to optimize for more freedom over your time and cash flow. And there's this whole like growth at all costs. And it's like you're running someone else's race, man.
Yep.
Someone else put that game onto you where like you could have a really good life making $250,000 working 30 hours a week. But just make sure that you're accounting for your retirement at some point.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I think the time piece of it, and I mean, shoot, I feel guilty of this sometimes. As like, oh well, I should be working. Like it's just like what you do. It's like my team's working, so I'm working, and it's just like I think it's games that you may play in your head. That's like this is the expectation, but it's not
Because
right.
you're showing someone like like a good leader is in the trenches, and I
Yeah.
get that, man. Like I did it with a $20 million
Yeah.
business. Like I'm eating crap every single day, firing people or like getting on new customers,
Yeah.
doing pricing, but at some point, to what end? And I'll give you a very relevant near term example. So I was on a call yesterday because at some point you're in the M&A space where you're talking about,
Yeah.
do I sell, do I not sell, or whatever. But I talked to a lot of PE firm, private equity firms. You can't make this shit up, dude. He's like, well, I'm looking for this company. I'm looking for a company like, you have somewhere around like, two, three, five, $4 million in normalized EBITDA. Cause then, they're the owners at the
Yeah.
inflection point. And like, it'd be really nice to give them some capital, but I don't want a job. Is exactly what this says. So what's your skill set? You understand capital. That's the extent of your effing
Yeah.
skill set.
Yeah.
So their mindset though is very useful to learn from.
Yes.
So you say, okay, well, what is a way that I, as an owner operator, can slowly extract myself from the operations while balancing that time, cash flow, wealth? And like, with my clients too, Phil, you can provide ridiculous leadership from the boardroom. You can come in there, be the chief culture officer. You can go on client meetings, but you don't have to if you don't want to.
Mm.
And that's the optionality I'm talking about. It's like, why have we told ourselves that we need to be a slave to our company
Mm.
for that? Like we have this badge of honor of like, I am working so hard. It's like, well, by the way, when you finally get to a deal, it's going to completely F up your deal structure. You're going to have a 3-year earnout or a rolled equity or something. So you're going to end up outsourcing all the shit you should have done to someone else to make those decisions. And you're going to end up being an employee
Yeah.
because you didn't do the stuff anyways. So like
Exactly.
there's kind of this phrase, like there's no way around, like what kind of hard do you want?
Yeah.
There's a meme on Twitter, or actually I saw recently, it's like two doors.
Mhm.
It was hard shit, more hard shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's just There's not the easy door. There's no
Yeah.
Ozempic pen for business.
Yeah, exactly. I went through this. I was at a $3 million home service business, and they went to 5 million EBITDA around like 1.5 million, and then a search fund came in and bought the company and plugged in an MBA guy, 200, 300,000,
Yep.
and it reframed my whole mind because he came in and basically just like he's a CEO, running it from his MBA suite, and then he just like put in all these people in place, growing the business, and I'm like it's just crazy, just the whole
Why
different
couldn't I have
shift.
done that?
Yeah, exactly. Like the whole different shift of mindset that like they have that playbook and they get it, but we can already just reframe the way that we think about our business and build that out too. It's just we got to get out of our own way, I
Yeah.
think.
The end goal is cash, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's not because by the way, 1.5 normalized EBITDA, and there's a whole lot of effed up things going on in like with the valuation because I've spent 11 years in finance now.
Hmm.
And even though a lot of this is very, as we're talking about, is very
Yeah.
high level goal setting, but like the through line, Phil, is cash,
Yeah.
not net income, not gross profit, but freaking money you can
Mm.
go buy shit with. And a $1 to $2 million normalized EBITDA, let's take 1.5.
Yeah.
I can show if I looked at the set of financials. So you're probably looking at maybe 300-400 grand in owner's distributions on 1.5 because where's all the money? It's stuck in receivables, it's stuck in inventory, it's stuck in paying taxes. So 1.5 in EBITDA does not mean taxes, but what the mindset that you talked about that's very useful is how do I take that cash and reinvest it into the business to make more cash,
Yes.
like
Yes.
actual money. So like back to those step ups you're talking about. Okay, if I hire, let's say you go from like you want to hire your first salesperson. That's gonna let's say it's 60 grand base pay, 80 grand base pay. They want to make 200. We should literally be able to in the income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement be able to see how it generates more revenue, how we have more gross profit, the net income, what'll happen with payables and receivables, taxes, and then how does that result in more cash? And if you can't see that through line, you're totally guessing.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think there's a part of like you got to get the numbers together and get your stuff together basically so that you can get it. But then it you should be thinking in that way, not just like, oh, I'm going to spend money and hopefully this guy's going to help me grow my business, but you don't have the data to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, dude. And like over the last 15 years, when Ben Bernanke hit the Fed printing
Yeah.
button in 2008, everything went up and to the right, and the paradigm has shifted. Like inflation on wages, inflation on inputs of like your equipment and your suppliers and dealers, and then you have all this stuff going on. Like you have to be looking at your cash flow statement
Yeah.
to be able to see what kind of money where what happened over the last 15 years is people would sell more crap and then in 4 months they would hopefully have some cash in the checking account and it was just enough to keep going. And this is a maybe a ridiculous analogy, but I've grabbed onto it. In my teens and 20s, I could drink a case of beer, eat a pizza at 2 in the morning, and then wake up and go for a run.
Yeah.
At almost 40, it's way harder, dude,
Yeah.
and you don't do that anymore. And so the discipline is what allows you to do it and design it over time repeatedly versus the guessing. And
Yes.
so in the last 15 years, the guessing and the hoping by just selling more and doing brute force kind of worked. The paradigm is just different now, and the good discipline will actually outperform. And God, the amount of opportunities that come to people that are doing this, why would you ever want to sell if you're printing money?
Yeah. And
You know,
that's the
all of a
thing.
sudden you're like, you attract the best talent, you win the customers, and you're slowly decoupling your time. You're like, this is pretty sweet. Like I'm
Yeah.
making a bunch of money and why would I want to sell? So it's like this very like that mindset shift helps us realize that there is no easy button. But if I do the hard work, not only do I get a good business it's the whole house. Like you remodel your house the day before you sell it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it have been nice to live in it the whole time?
Yeah. Exactly. I'm curious when you get to the, running it from a boardroom, are there specific, like five numbers or something that you're like, hey, these are the numbers that you got to know. You pull these up and down, or is there any set of frameworks for people that want to get there, but they don't really know what to even look at?
Yeah, great question. I'm gonna let's give it like a peer inside of what a boardroom meeting would look like,
Okay.
and then I'll directly answer your 5 or 10 KPIs. So I
Yeah.
want to kind of give the experience first, and then we can
Okay.
go, okay, well, let's distill it down. Because I'm on the board of companies,
Yes.
my job is to think like an investor. Everyone has to explain to me as a board member how is what they're doing going to generate more cash?
Mm.
And all I do is ask why.
Yeah.
That's it, dude. And if people can't answer the question with intelligent rationale, they need to go back, do harder work to explain to me how
Yeah.
they're going to generate more cash and how their activities are going to generate more cash. So where does that show up in the I call it the three functions, and then so I'll tie a lot of this stuff together, and then how like an actual board meeting of budget to actual.
Yeah.
That's really what we're doing, but it's all of the thinking that goes into it. And there's this big misnomer. It's all about the financials. The financials are the scoreboard of what happened,
Exactly.
and then you're trying to anticipate the future. So at the end of the day, the whole point of the question why is we're thinking about how what we're going to do is going to generate more cash. So the more thinking we do, then we're testing our assumptions in those meetings. So in the income statement, the profit and loss, you have revenue, you've got gross profit, and then you've got net income. So ironically, if people are familiar with
Yeah.
EOS or,
Yeah.
any of those, you have three functions: sales, marketing, which is revenue,
Yeah.
operations, which is gross profit, and then your finance
Finances
lead,
are.
which is then net income or cash.
Yeah.
So what I would, let's say, we'll role play here for a second,
Sure. Yeah.
and you are going to have like each three function heads. So we say,
Yeah.
okay, Phil, you're sales. All right, are you okay? Your home services company. Okay, HVAC. Okay, how much equipment are you going to sell? How much service are you going to have? Oh, you took on plumbing. Okay, how much plumbing are you going to do? You took on roofing. How much roofing are you going to do? Month by month by month, line by line by line. Well, I don't know. Okay, well, you don't know. Show me your Service Titan CRM.
Yeah.
What actions are you doing? How many phone calls? Return on ad spend, which I know you're
Yeah. Yeah.
familiar with,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the whole client acquisition cost. I need to see the CRM and the customer journey and the conversion rates to land predictable revenue on that revenue income statement
Mm.
every single month, line by line for the next year. If you can't show it to me, you're guessing.
Yes. Yes.
Then what we need to do is so that's what the sales lead should be responsible for. We should be able to strangle one person that is responsible for revenue. And strategic planning, sales, and marketing all fall into that bucket of predictable revenue to land that on the income statement. You diversifying all that kind of stuff. But then we go into then margins, which is the operations manager, service manager, production manager, whatever you want to call the person. Gross profit
Yeah.
per equipment, service, plumbing, roofing. What are the margins? Well, I don't know what the margins are. Okay, go figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay, now we've got our equipment and our labor, and we're allocating in Service Titan or whatever it is, the cost of the equipment and the time to each contract for each revenue bucket. So I
Yeah.
can then go, okay, we're at 55% margin on this, we're at 45% on this, like we're going to differ. Okay, we're thinking.
Yes.
Then
We're
we go
thinking.
down to then overhead, SG&A, OPEX, whatever the hell you want to call it. That's the finance lead, which has your expenses, HR, IT. You have a lot of times payroll in there, most of the time
Yeah.
payroll, depending if it's in the
Admin.
cost of goods. And you're just going through and thinking about what is all those expenses. You're going to hire a recruiter. We're going to put the recruiting expense in there, and we get to net income. But net income means jack shit
Yeah.
other than for the tax man. What we want to look at is that normalized EBITDA, which is that recruiting expense. Let's say you spend 100 grand in installing Service Titan. Those are normalized events that are a use of cash, but it's a normalized event, so we could track our normalized EBITDA. That finance leader would be charged of that too. And then you can connect your income statement to the balance sheet to then see the cash flow statement. So I can look at the end of the month to say how much will be in receivables, payables, inventory, how much will we pay in taxes, and then how much does Phil have left over?
Yeah. There
And
you
then do
go.
you want to put it more back? You want to put it back into the company, or would you like to take it out and buy Bitcoin? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what you do. So
Yes.
like it's that cadence and that level of thinking is what we're trying to identify. So back to your 5
Yeah.
KPIs,
Makes
I would be
sense.
looking at revenue line by line, gross profit line by line, net income and normalized EBITDA. And then as an owner, I care about cash
Yeah.
and taxes and debt. And
Yeah.
that's really where capital allocation comes in. So, and if we really wanted to get like first principles, Phil,
Yeah.
and let's say you had your 2026 plan put
Yeah.
together, and you show it to me, and I can see in December, because all my clients are working on budgeting right now, end of 2026, you're predicting to have 500 grand in cash. Prove it.
Yeah.
Everything is a derivative of cash.
Yeah. because then you can just work backwards and say, okay, this is the numbers that I have. This is the, and then you work your
What are
way
the
all the way
levers? Oh,
down.
well, I don't have enough cash.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, why?
yeah,
Well, I've got too much in, receivables, collect receivables, because you could start on that, maybe the capital
yeah,
allocation, those levers of receivables, inventory. Then you go and say, okay, well, I want more cash. Phil needs more money. Increase revenue.
yeah,
How do we do that? Well, we don't know how. Okay. Well, increase your margins,
yeah,
reduce expenses. I mean, you can't cut your way to value. So at some point, cutting like you could be bloated and stuff like that, but you're just looking at all of those KPIs in relationship to, am I going to generate the cash that I want?
yeah. I think this is something that I faced a lot, which was when the private equity company came in, the search fund guy, was that he was putting people in place so that he could hold them accountable for things,
Mm-hmm.
opposed to doing them or not having people and then giving them numbers like what you're saying that they're responsible for. So then they're going to show up to these meetings and say, I didn't hit the goal, but
On
I'm
track,
working
off
on
track.
it. Yeah. But then there's people to hold accountable in your business opposed to you just halfway doing something and like, whatever. Cause it's much easier to have a number and a person to hold accountable for it. And you need to have that in your business. That's what it sounds like.
Totally. And I think with the ass backwards, that thing that people do is, EOS traction, they put in this VTO, it's 10 million. It's like,
Exactly.
I had a $21 million business that lost $1 million. Had we sold the business in 2009, we'd owe the bank 2.5 million
Yeah.
bucks.
Yeah.
Woo! Ain't
Yeah.
5,000 though.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like, who
Oh
cares?
man.
It's, I
Yeah.
know, it's such a bunch of BS. So EOS is how I differentiate. EOS is an operating system. So I have a Mac, and there's an assumption that
Yes.
when I sit down, I know what I'm doing and why.
Yes.
And so that's what we're trying to insert here. So the owner's playbook sits on top of the operating system, and where that falls into with the KPIs, people go and make stuff up with these KPIs. What we want to do, and it's like crazy, dude. Like, if you have that goal that we just talked about, and let's say you're my sales director, it's like, okay, the KPIs are very obvious. If we want 100 grand in equipment sales, 100 grand in service sales for HVAC, and then we want 50 grand in sprinkler, whatever,
Yeah.
plumbing or
Whatever.
whatever it is, show me the data.
Yeah.
And then they're like, the income statement is the best KPI dashboard on the planet if you have the right goal. And
Mm.
you as the owner, you don't have to share your cash with everybody, but you as an owner are responsible for understanding that through line. So in
Yes.
that 500 grand example, you would know if we need to toggle different levers. And then you can add comp plans on that. But like, Jack Stack, The Great Game of Business and Open Book Management, he literally puts people's face next to different GL codes. Like, I don't
I
know,
love
dude.
it.
Like,
I
yeah,
love it.
like, okay, customer
Yeah.
service. How many tickets did we have? What was the first call, effectiveness?
Yeah.
All right, Phil, we need to make sure our return warranties are this much. On
Yeah.
track, off track.
I
It's
love it.
not that complicated.
No, it's not. And I think it comes down to building the system and the functionality in your business that, especially in the home service space, is like this is not a normal thing, like doing this. They're guys, that were
Me
on the
neither,
front.
dude. I know,
Yeah.
we were copier sales guys. That
Yeah.
was it. Like, I
Yeah.
sold
Crazy.
copiers. I didn't know shit about numbers. Other
Yeah.
than if we made 400 phone calls, 15 appointments, 7 net news, 5 proposals, 3 closes, it'd be 40 grand in revenue every month.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
That's how we built a $21 million business. Nothing. When I started, dude, there was no org chart for 115 people.
Oh God.
Like, it was just
Oh
like, what's
God.
everybody doing? We're doing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I'm guessing you partner with these businesses and you help implement this in their business, install
Yeah.
this system.
It's a
Okay.
coaching program. So it's an ownership coaching. So a lot of my clients are also in peer groups. A lot of
Yeah,
them are running a EOS traction type business. And they're just like, wait a second, I still have no idea what my cash, time, and wealth is.
exactly.
And so they're just looking for that high level owner framework and playbook.
Mm,
So they know why it's a decision making framework to say,
yes.
okay, well, what's your goal?
Yes.
Like I said, I'll never tell anybody what to do. It's like, but it's like, if you don't have enough cash, why?
Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
have enough time. Why? What's the constraint? And I don't know about you, but like every owner and entrepreneur I've ever met, we're willing to do really hard stuff for a goal.
Yeah, of
But
course.
like, let's eliminate the hope and let's actually make it prescriptive so we actually like have meaning behind our hard work.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part is that we're all down to do it. We just don't really know what to do or feel stuck. And this
Hmm.
decision framework would help illuminate, okay, I need to do this next to reach this goal.
Yeah,
That's
and what's the trade-off of that? So if I go
exactly.
back to like if it's a million or 5 million or 10 million, what do I have to do that's gonna get me to the next level? And if I'm going to reduce my annual take home,
Yep.
what do I expect from that?
Yep.
And like, one of the things that I've realized too, because all my clients is like boiler reseller, commercial cleaning, AV, none of these people were finance degrees. None of us.
Yeah.
All of us juggle cash every day and juggle our time. And it's just providing the confidence, I think, Phil, of like, your questions are legit. You're just not getting the correct answers from
That's
all of the people around you. And like, I hate the healthcare system, dude. Like, it took me this like golf ball of reality that I swallowed to realize that doctors are insurance salespeople and no one cares. No one's gonna ask you, hey Phil, how much you drinking? You
yeah.
sleeping? How's your stress? How's your workout routine? You sleeping? Like, no one's gonna ask that because they're gonna go, here's a pill. What do we need to cut?
Yeah.
And like CPAs, attorneys, bankers, consultants, there's all a place for them,
Yeah.
but we have to own the outcome because at the end of the day, you're either feeling good or not.
That's right.
And you either have cash and time or you don't.
That's
So we
right.
have to be confident in ourselves that we have to take the discipline to just work through this, and taking the time to do this is going to benefit you. That's the first investment of time, is actually doing this and realizing like, stop being busy for a little bit. Don't like, I mean, my dad's best friend was he owned an HVAC business here in Minnesota, like
Mm.
10 million bucks. And the son of a bitch would come over and fix my furnace. I was like, Charlie, but his big butt crack, and he'd come
Yeah.
over at like 9 at night. I'm like, why are you doing this? Someone else should be doing this, Charlie. You have a $10 million
Yeah.
business. Like, what's your profitability? No idea.
Yeah.
He had inventory leakage everywhere. Every one of his technicians was fixing shit on the side, making side hustles. I mean, like all of the problems. I'm like, dude, and you're sitting here fixing my furnace at 9 at night.
Yeah. That's yeah, that is sad. That is just sad because
And
there's
it's
another
common.
way. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's common. And it's sad because there's a whole nother way. And I think a lot of guys just get in their way of just like, I got to be
Got to
out
do
there
it.
doing it. Yeah, I got to do it. And it's like, as you build, the hustler has to die and the leader has to be born. And you have to put
Ooh, I like
systems
that.
in your place. Yeah, you have to put systems in place to be able to like, okay, I got to move on to the next phase of this.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I'm curious with you and your experience is like, what I realized maybe not as common as what I would have thought is like, since I was a little kid, dude, there's two questions that like I can't stop thinking about. Why are we here? What's the point?
mm,
And if I can't answer those, I won't do something, which is why I was terrible at school, because like no teachers answer why. It's like, read this book about these the black and white pictures of people with wigs. Why? I don't know, because you
yeah,
have to do it. And and like actually the really relevant example, my daughters are doing multiplication right now, and my wife was unbelievable at school, like 4.2 and all this shit, and so like they're doing these math problems, and like they're like 42 times 7. And my wife's like, let's do it. And there was a time, it was like, you have to do all this within 5 minutes. And I was like, 42 of what?
yeah,
They looked
no,
at me and they're like, 7 what? Are we talking
yeah,
about 42 clients and we have to get 7%? I just like,
yeah.
I can't do it without context. And so
Oh man.
the why behind this is worth sitting down and thinking about,
Yes, you're absolutely.
because then everything else will have meaning behind it.
Yeah, I agree. My wife is a teacher, and we have the same exact conversations. And I'm like, well, why are we doing this? And I think for business owners listening to this, maybe take a step back and say, okay, well, why am I doing it this way? Why am I still running all the sales calls? Why am I doing this? And maybe it's because you haven't thought about the time, cash flow, or wealth and how you're going to allocate certain things. And it also changes within the season of where you're at, seasons of life, seasons of
Mm-hmm.
your goals. And I think that that's kind of the premise of this is ask why and then figure out what you can allocate to solve problems for what you want to do.
The first thing you should do if you're running in the woods is figure out if you're running the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Solve that.
Yeah, like, well, you could be running deeper into the woods. It's like, whoa, well, maybe you should stop, look up.
Yeah.
Where's the stars? Where's my compass?
Yeah. I love it, man. Well, this has been great. Eye opening for me. I have a business obviously, so it's like thinking through that stuff. I appreciate your ability to talk high level, but also just bring it back down for people to relate it to EOS and the different systems and put that in place. So thank you so much. Where should people go to learn more about you or read a book, or what should they do?
I have a website, ryantansom.com, and I've got a podcast link on there. I've got a newsletter. So it's in the content business. So I give a lot of stuff out for free. They can go watch videos, listen to podcasts. There's a bunch of stuff on the framework too. Um, and be curious, man. That's like, people listening to this, you're already way ahead of most people. And that's what I love about the home services, man. Like Tommy Mello is a friend of mine, and like,
Yeah.
it, just there's so much thirst and curiosity in the home services space, and people are so humble, Phil, which is why I love the space, because there's a lot of people who have the same problems in other spaces, but they've got like a lot of egos and arrogance, and it's like, how's it working?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just the fact that people are listening to podcasts and tuning in is a huge step.
Yeah. And I think home service people, it's like they're out, with real people every single day. They're not just sitting back building some SaaS thing or something, just
Yeah,
like trying to,
totally.
here. It's like real people that are like into it. So
Yeah.
that's what I love about it as well. It's like it's real people, humble, willing to work with you, talk about things. So I appreciate that. Cool, man. Well, it's been great getting to know you. Appreciate your guidance on this, and look forward to continue the conversation.
Thanks, Phil.
All right, man.